the Krugru. He's the EPA boss and then the NPP parliamentary candidate for Zebila. Now, he has suspended his campaign activities over the renewed tensions in the area, especially the decision to revoke the bench warrant issued for the rival chief that was installed in the area. Let's go back. Unfortunately, we lost him there. Let's try again and speak to him. Okay, let's try again. Good morning, Doc. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning.
I hope you're well.
I hope so myself.
You hope? Why do you say you hope so?
Well, my life is under serious threat, and I am surviving by the minute.
When you say your life is under serious threat, what exactly do you mean? Who is after you?
I think there are too many different groups who are after me. The happenings in the Boku and the surrounding areas are completely unacceptable. Others have chosen to keep quiet. I have decided to speak about this, to issue a statement, and to demand answers. And when you take such a stand, you subject yourself to and expose yourself to a high level of risk, and that is where I find myself now.
Now, let us understand what exactly is happening in Boku, to the extent where you have decided to suspend your campaign.
Yes, I think to put it in a summary way, you would notice that about 2 years ago, there was a purported enskinment of a chief in Nalerugu, and that chief was supposed to be brought to the Boku area to be the Boku Naba. And you may also be aware that this year the current Boku Naba, the one who has been sitting on the throne, is celebrating 40 years of his reign as a Boku Naba. And so when that purported enskinment of a new Boku Naba happened in Nalerugu, the government came out with a very strong statement. If you remember, at that time, the Honorable Kojo Nkrumah was the minister responsible for information, and he signed a letter that was very clear that the government had condemned that act and had given a clear directive to the security agencies to arrest anybody who carries himself out as a Boku Naba other than the one sitting on the throne. The government did not end there. There was a follow-up that the government, through the Attorney General, went to court and secured an arrest warrant. That the purported chief, if cited anywhere, that person should be arrested. And the situation has remained like that. And we have gotten into an election year. This matter has been muddied in the politics. Some of us, like me, contesting on the ticket of the ruling party, would continue to tout government effort in making sure that there is lasting peace in the Kusao traditional area, and in Boku in particular. And with politicians trying to take advantage of anything, my opponents have said that government hand is in the conflict, especially given that our presidential candidate is belonging to one of the tribes that is in this conflict. And so our message has been trying to distance him from the middle of the conflict and to make the point that this conflict was there even before he was born. And so nobody should hang it on his neck. That has been the center of our message. Then, just last week, information came through that I think some people have gone to court with lawyer Martin Kwebu as the lead lawyer, and they have quashed the arrest warrant. So many of us thought that, hey, this was a recipe for disaster, because with 1 month to elections and tensions already very high in the area, the quashing of the arrest warrant could spell doom. And so we took the necessary steps as leaders are supposed to do, calling on our government, calling on our party to say that, look, this can be disastrous. I think the Attorney General listened to us and went back to court to file an appeal against that court ruling that quashed the arrest warrant. And so we went back to campaigning, holding that to our chest and saying, now look, yes, we said government would take the necessary steps, and this is what government is doing. Then, in the very twist of something that I still don't have an answer, the following day, the same Attorney General went back to court and revoked the application to appeal against the court ruling to quash the arrest warrant. And so that application was revoked, and with a statement that the state was no longer interested in pursuing the case. That very day that application, the revocation came through in the evening, the purported chief was brought into Boku. And in the last 2 days, there has been sustained and continuous fighting. Scores of people have lost their lives, scores of young people, young lives. And the fighting has been extended to the road between Bogatanga and Tamale, with, assailants, people holding guns, hiding by the roadside, stopping cars, checking ID cards to identify tribal affiliation and kill. Yesterday was the bloodiest of this. And it doesn't make sense. It beats any imagination. And this is why I issued a statement 2 days ago suspending my campaign and calling on government to take immediate action to save lives and property. This is where we are.
Now, the last part of your submission paints a picture of a war-torn or a war zone, that people are hiding in bushes and conducting random checks, checking people's IDs to check their names and to know their tribal affiliations. I mean, these are harrowing stories you've heard about, for instance, the genocide elsewhere. And to think that it is happening in a part of Ghana is truly heartbreaking. And you talked about how your opponents have accused the government of having a hand in this conflict. Now, you've chronicled how there was a lead to have the warrant quashed. That was done, and then some of you raised your voices against it. And this Attorney General filed an appeal, but subsequently he decided not to proceed with the appeal. And interestingly, just around that time, the rival chief has made his way back to the area, and there's been chaos ever since. What would you say to people who say that these actions indeed feed into that narrative, that government's inaction or actions have led us to where we are at the moment?
I mean, those people are right until we have answers. And I have raised these questions that don't have an answer. My party has not issued a statement to say this is what is happening. The government, and those of you who have a bigger mouth than people like me, put a call to the Attorney General and find out, let's look for answers. What is happening? Look, it's worse than the picture I've painted. Yesterday, some people who were killed on the road were even mistaken to be one of the tribes, and they were not. They were killed. I have the pictures of these dead bodies in my phone.
Oh dear.
But they are not Mampusis and they are not Kusasis. Somebody has to be responsible for these acts. I don't know. I can't understand. And I cannot accept this as politics for the sake of political power. It doesn't make sense.
And one would say that you speaking about this could cost you.
Yes, it is. But someone has to speak about this. Somebody has to speak about this. Look, lives, and I can tell you, you see, the issue is now into a war situation. So both sides don't want to report, because in war, if you tell how many people you are losing, it means you are losing the battle. So, but I can tell you, from where in my heart out, the information that gets to me, we have a big problem in our hands. We do. And somebody has to speak about this. I'm not speaking about this because I want to. I'm speaking about this because this is completely unacceptable.
And also, if the area is struck with this kind of conflict, how do you even get to represent them?
That's the question. And my disappointment has no measure. Why is it that the 6 members of parliament in that traditional area, covering Kuziga, Garu, Timpane, Binduri, Boku Central, and Zebila, you have 6 members of parliament. The last 2 days, I haven't seen a statement from them. And that is why, for me, this is not even about MPP and NDC. The monumental failure of leadership. So I don't understand.
I am even short for words. What do you think can be done or should be done immediately to nip this in the bud? Because if, as of yesterday, from what we are reading, there was a roadblock and 8 people have been killed as a result. Now, before you even answer what can be done in the immediate to address this issue, what have you picked in terms of the casualties or the people that have unfortunately lost their lives as a result of this renewed conflict in the area?
I can tell you over 100 people are gone.
Really?
I can tell you.
And what are you basing this on?
Because I have information on the ground. Because I know that it's a full-blown war. Because, look, check if you have contacts of the Presby Hospital. Check what happened last night. There were no place to put human beings. But in a war-torn area, people don't want to report their people died. So you media, what you get is a tip of the iceberg. There are places in Boku today that no media person can enter. So you get a tip of the iceberg. So people, look, it's gone beyond sadness. What can be done? There's only one solution. The state has the power and the authority to go and take the purported chief out to safety somewhere, and the war will cease.
But how did he get into the area in the first place? Bearing in mind that consistently we are told that there is security intelligence, there's heavy security, there are boots on the ground in Boku and all that. And I'm sure Intel would know that should this rival chief make his way back into the area, it is going to create chaos. How did he get in there with all these boots on the ground and all the intelligence we keep gathering?
Madam, help me get the answer. Help me. That is the biggest question on the table. Because look, there is a whole military base in Boku because of this crisis. You have all kinds of security network there. You have national security. Help me get the answer.
Does it disappoint you that with all these present, the rival chief in question was able to get there? Was able to get into the area?
Disappointment is a small word. It's disgusting. It blew my mind. Disappointment is a small word. That people can watch for these young lives to be lost in such a manner. And we have 1 month to elections. Everybody knows that 1 month to elections, any trigger can go the way.
Yeah, tensions are high.
Yes. So why? I don't have the answer. I don't.
I sense the despair in your voice. Have you lost hope?
I've not. I still believe that something can be done because the war hasn't ended. As we speak now, any life, I keep receiving life-threatening messages on my phone. I mean, I don't know.
I hope you are not taking them lightly, and you have reported these threats to the police in order for you to have protection. I hope you are not taking it lightly. Have you reported any of these threats to the police?
Yes. Yes. And I'm definitely not taking anything lightly. But I don't know. I live by the minute.
Wow. And I don't know if this is appropriate to ask on air, especially considering that you mentioned that your life is under threat. But have you moved away from the area?
I don't want to answer.
All right.
Thank you.
Then. Thank you very much as well. And but why isn't dialogue working? Why isn't dialogue working? Because really, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's a battle of supremacy whatsoever. If the people you are seeking to lead all die, of what use will it serve? Why isn't dialogue working?
Listen, where we are now, the conversation about dialogue is not on the table.
At all?
We are in a war situation. We need to come out of the war and we can talk about dialogue. And for me, who is right and who's wrong, who deserves to be chief and who doesn't deserve to be chief, none of these questions matter now. We need to stop the ongoing killing right now. And then we can think about any other thing.
All right, sir. Do stay safe. And we hope that some decisive action will be taken in relation to this particular issue and not be treated as business as usual. Or, I mean, if people don't talk about it, it will die with the wind. I hope that decisive actions will be taken to address this issue. Nobody deserves to die as a result of this.
Thank you.
Thank you too for your time, and do stay safe, sir.
Thank you.
You heard us speak to Dr. Kingsley Krugu. He is the EPA boss and the NPP parliamentary candidate for Zebila. He has had to suspend his campaign activities as a result of the renewed conflict. And you heard him speak passionately about this issue. It's not common to have, for instance, people in his position talk in this frank manner, especially when there's a lot at stake. He's a parliamentary candidate, and to the point where he argues that for those who think that it is an inaction and actions of government that has led us here, he says those people are right, because he's struggling to understand how there is intel, there are boots on the ground, there are bases there, there's this military base there, yet this rival chief in question is able to come there when they know very well that there are consequences when this individual gets there. He also makes reference to the court issue where there's a bench warrant that was revoked. There was complaints that this portends danger. This was going to spell doom. Attorney General makes the attempt to appeal, subsequently makes a U-turn, decides not to pursue it any longer. And just when that was done, individual in question makes his way there. And now here we are. About what? He says about 100 people, from what he has gathered on the ground, about 100 people may have lost their lives by now. And there are areas in Boku that the media dares not enter. Do you understand? Yeah. And it's heartbreaking. It feels like sometimes some of these things are said and you think, oh no, it cannot be Ghana.
See, now, when I related to the fact that some hoodlums had mounted roadblocks and they were profiling people, yes, I understood how appalling it was when I mentioned it, right? But you just heard the man repeat that. They just look at your name, your name on your Ghana card. You know what that meant? All it needed to take for you to die is to be on that road, have a name that they believe belongs to this or that, and that's it. And you heard him say, sadly, that the factions do not even want to report.
No.
Because to them, it will mean that you are weak.
It's very unfortunate that this is where we find ourselves at the moment. And I sincerely hope that something urgent will be done about this, because I keep struggling to understand why you want to lead at all costs. Yeah. But then again, in that quest, people are dying. Yep. So when all the people finish, who are you going to lead?
See, it's instructive, the questions you ask of Dr. Kingsley Krugu. Do you know that the installation of this rival chief was under the supervision and the protection of military?
Look at this.
Yes, when it happened. I remember clearly the information minister issuing that statement, saying that what happened was appalling, and the military had then been withdrawn, and then this arrest warrant was placed. And subsequently, it was revoked, and then reactivated. And then here we are again. Let me tell you what's happening. There are some forces behind this. Those forces are bigger than you can imagine. And so we all know what to do. Trust me, security intelligence tells us what to do. But because of the forces behind, we are unable to do. And that's why we are here, to the extent that on this soil, on our land, we are being told more than 100 people have been killed. Yeah. In Ghana.
It's unacceptable. It's heartbreaking. And we sincerely hope that the relevant authorities will step in to act. Don't look on as innocent lives are killed, are taken. Young men who, could serve the country's interests, I mean, will serve the country's interests,
Yeah.
losing their lives in this manner is unacceptable.